It's my immense honor and pleasure to welcome to Living Histories Professor Jiang. Please tell us about Living Histories.
Hi, thank you everybody to be here. And when I thank you, Sri, for the invitation. When I just received the invitation, my first reaction was, wait, me? Knowing all the people who's gone before me. And then learning from one of my mentors, I said, yes, sure, let me do it. So here's my trajectory leading to where I am now. My family came from this Fujian province in southeast China in the coastal mountains. It is a beautiful place, but idyllic, but life was very hard and people were poor. Both my maternal and paternal grandparents never went to school. They were illiterate. My parents were the first generation who went to college. And in the 1980s, they were able to go to Beijing to attend universities. That was a big deal. Their families sacrificed a lot. And they were actually the first generation to venture out of the mountains. But unfortunately to them, so this was a picture from that era. This is my father right here. And unfortunately to them, the Cultural Revolution started right before they graduated. So they were sent to the ranches, farms in this corner of the China, across the border from Russia, close to the border from Russia. And so they milked cows, they tended cattle for many years before they came back to their hometown right before they gave birth to me. So I grew up. My father became the physics teacher in the high school, and we lived on campus in that high school. My brother and I were expected to do well in school as we were growing up. I had great teachers, so everything was made very easy when they taught it. So I was also enrolled in one of those elementary experimental classes when I was in middle school, and in which we were given a set of very special math textbooks that we read books and did homework problems by ourselves without lectures. It was really an early paper version of Khan Academy. I really loved it. I learned how to teach myself. And there was plenty of time left. Different from my parents' generation, I didn't have to collect firewood from the hills. I didn't have to fetch water from the well or wash clothes by the river. We had cold tap water and washing machine by then. But extracurricular activities were limited. So I was never an outdoors child. So I spent a lot of time reading. I was using my father's faculty library card, and I read almost every book in the small library in the school. So I thought I could become a writer in middle school until we had the opportunity the school had acquired a set of Apple II computers, and I learned to program. And I was the first few to not only winning the writing competitions, but also coding competitions and math competitions. So then also in high school, physics classes started. I fell in love immediately. So like many, if not all girls in science then, Marie Curie was the inspiration. So I went to my father's alma mater for college, University of Science and Technology of China. And some of his classmates later went back to teach in the school, whom I will come to call aunts and uncles. I would go to their homes for the occasional breaks from cafeteria food. And also I had the opportunities to do summer research in their labs. So I did condensed matter physics, doing experiments on nanoscale, zirconium and zinc oxides. And I also did my thesis research on zirconium, nanoscale zirconium's luminescent properties. I did some numerical simulations for those energy band gaps. I loved research, but I learned that I did not like that kind of experiment. So going to graduate school was a fashion then in my university. So of all the acceptance, I chose University of Notre Dame because I had met James Glacier in undergrad. When he came and gave a talk, I was very fascinated by the kind of patterns and cells that he was talking about. I was brave enough to come and talk to him. And so I came and joined his lab at Notre Dame in the physics department. I didn't want to do an experiment, so I was doing computational simulations of bubbles and working on foams and connecting to granular materials. He gave me all the freedom, and I was able to go and spend summers in the Los Alamos National Lab, where I worked with Peter Swart and Albert Saxena. I also spent time in Santa Fe Complex Systems Summer School. I went to Marine Biology Lab at Woods Holes. So I worked on bubbles and cells, and the same models, the several parts model applied to studying pattern formation in dictyostelium discoideum and the slime mold development. The last problem was brought to us by Herbie Levine, whom I kept contact later on. So I got married then. Without my husband's support, it wasn't possible to go to do all those things. I joined Los Alamos National Lab as postdoc and stayed on as technical staff member. And due to my wonderful colleagues and all the visitors coming through the lab and also reaching out to the people, I had many wonderful collaborations. I stayed in self-condensed matter and biophysics, worked on foams, polymer, membrane, and then through James Fryer, I started working on tumor growth, angiogenesis, and then with Bridget Wilson of University of New Mexico. And then we looked into ovarian cancer and drug delivery. And through Mark Elber and Dale Kaiser, we worked with myxobacteria development. And we didn't have graduate students on Los Alamos campus, but I supervised many students through these collaborations. Many wonderful students, Maria Audi-Kiskowski, Yilin Wu with Mark Elber, Amy Bauer with Tracy Jackson, for examples. We started QBio conferences when I was in Los Alamos, which is in its 19th year this year. It's still going strong. At that time, in the theoretical division of Los Alamos, we had mathematicians, we have physicists, we have biologists, we have computer scientists. I felt I was not math enough compared to the mathematicians, not physics enough compared to the physicists, definitely not biologists, and nor by the computer scientist. I felt a little bit out of place, not belonging. And I went talk to Hans Frauenfelder. He was the director for the Center for Nonlinear Studies then. And he said, you shouldn't worry about what others think. Do what you think is right. And that changed my perspective. Another person in Los Alamos that had a great impact on me was Mac Hyman. He was my group leader then, and he taught me not to follow all the rules and question some of them. And he said, say yes to the opportunities and follow your passion. And he's the one that I always go to for the dose of optimization frequently. So I also had this two-body problem. My husband quit his faculty position in Kansas to join me in Los Alamos before our children were born. He never got a real job in Los Alamos. So then he pivoted and started a company in Atlanta in 2007. So from 2008 to 2011, for 3 years, I commuted between Los Alamos and Atlanta, and while searching for all kinds of possible openings. And I was almost ready to give up my position, my science career, when the math chair in Georgia State University called me. He got hold of my CV from a faculty member who got it from his tennis partner, who got it from his Bible study group, and who one of those Bible study group member is someone I met in the public library who just arrived from China. I helped her out looking for certain books for his young daughter. So I always share this story with my students, telling them just always be kind to everybody you meet. You never know who might help you find a job. So I started in the math department in Georgia State University. I continue to work on biology-related problems and more and more in biomedical issues. We had cancer invasion, we had eyes and liver fibrosis problems. We also ventured into computational pathology, started a company, didn't like it, didn't like the business side of it. And I want to show the students, the early career people, this illustrated guide to a PhD, that we specialized and gained knowledge within this circle of human knowledges. We kept pushing, and when we make the little dent here, that's our PhD. And the world looked like this to us, but we need to come back to the whole picture, that we are in this small little corner of this world, and we must keep pushing. So the takeaway messages I have for early career people is to stay curious, learn old things and new things. Old things, by old things, I mean, even though you thought you knew it, by teaching it, I learned it over again. So we must keep pushing our boundary and keep pushing the boundary of human knowledges, and be brave, reach out, talk to people, share ideas, be kind, be generous, and be grateful. And a few things that I'm still working on is don't be shy to toot your own horn, that I'm still having difficulty with. And I also still working on realizing that everybody is different. I need to support my students to make them feel included, not only support their different learning styles, but also their different career goals. Not all students need to and want to become a university professor, and I need to support their needs. And thank you, everybody.
Wow. Thank you so much, Yi, for a wonderfully inspiring talk. I'm thanking you on behalf of the audience. Audience, please feel free to send me your questions via chat. I will get started with a question of my own, which is at various points in your trajectory, did you think of alternate lives where you were not an academic? And in those lives, what would you have been?
When I was ready to give up science, I looked into the possibility of having a tea house with a lot of books.
Just
So
self or as a job?
as a job, as a as an alternative living.
Wow.
Sorry.
Wow. Would you tell us a little bit about what exactly about that drew you to it? And how was the startup experience different?
Oh, that was out of desperation because my children were young, and I still, after 3 years, I couldn't find a job. That was sort of a complete 180-degree turn to something that I maybe could be doing. That's I didn't get into it before I got the job. So that was sort of a imagery. But a startup company was mainly driven by one of my students. He didn't want to do academia, but he's really, really good with people. And he was the one reaching out to different hospitals in China and getting the clinical data that we needed for our liver fibrosis project. And he was able to get things started in China, and then making it possible to even license the IP property from university, and we started the company. And that experience was a tremendous learning experience. I learned business development was okay, but business management was not my cup of tea. So
Wow. Okay. Final question before I wrap up, which is, has your departmental home informed your choice of questions that you work on?
not really. I still pick up the projects through my interest, my passion, and but the tools I use actually is I learned a great deal from my math and statistics colleagues. That's which allowed me to do later on to pick up projects like computational pathology, the machine learning, deep learning aspects.
Great. Thank you so much once again.
Mhm.
And in the interest of time, I'm closing the